And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Guion versus Wilson. Step forward.
24-year-old legal assistant Long Guion is suing her former friend, landscaper Patrick Wilson, for the cost to paint her car bumper. Long says the car was egged while in his care.
Miss Jiang, the defendant is your boyfriend's friend?
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that he borrowed your car during a week's time that you were going to be out of town, and that while the car was in his possession, it got egged. And because that substance is so caustic, it ate away the paint on the car, and you have to have your car painted.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Wilson does not deny that the car was egged. He does not deny that it was egged while it was in his possession, although you didn't see it happen, right?
Correct.
He says that he parked it in the same place that you parked it at, and that it's not his fault. You should have had insurance to cover it, right?
Yes.
But there's another wrinkle in this case. According to you, he gave you $50.
Yes, Your Honor.
There's your problem, Mr. Wilson. Did you give her $50?
Yes, I did.
So that you gave her $50 to lease her car, to rent her car for the week.
For the use of it, yes.
So I want you to think of Miss Giang as Hertz, budget, dollar. She's a rent-a-car.
Okay.
If I left anybody out. Avis, I mean, I want to be ecumenical. Yeah. Dollar, whatever. She is a rent-a-car.
Okay.
Have you ever rented a car?
Yes.
And when you rent a car, you either decline insurance or you pay for insurance.
Yes.
If you pay for insurance, that means pay a little extra. That means anything that happens to the car while it's in your possession is covered.
Right.
If you decline insurance, who's responsible if something happens to that car?
I am.
Right. Now, if you merely borrowed her car, there would have to be a demonstration that something happened to her car as a result of negligence. Your negligence. But you didn't borrow her car. You rented it. You got to pay for the damage. It's your fault.
Okay.
Can I see the damage to the car, please? I'm glad he understood. I'm glad Mr. Wilson understood. Who are you?
I'm Patrick's friend, Tracy. I'm a witness.
A witness to what?
I helped clean the car basically the day we think it happened. I showed up to his house that evening right after he got off of work, just went over there after I got off of work, and he was pretty much in the process of getting ready to go clean the car.
Was it egged on the back of the car? Is that where it was egged?
Yes.
Pretty much on the back?
Yes.
Pretty much just on the bumper, is that right?
I did not see...
Well, it looks to me like the damage is on the bumper.
It's on the bumper.
It's on the bumper. And how much is it going to take to fix this bumper, to repaint the bumper?
I have two estimates.
Can I see it, please? Is this a new car?
Yes, ma'am.
Looks pretty new to me. $50 is a good deal. Should have cleaned it really, really thoroughly. Rear bumper, $1,094. Mr. Wilson, it's your nickel, sir.
Okay.
Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Eyes are excused. You may step out.
Although it was egged at our residence, I didn't feel like it was my fault.
I believe Judge Judy did the right thing. It was clearly his responsibility to clean the egg off my car, and it wasn't cleaned.
I didn't believe it was my responsibility because I didn't egg the car, so I didn't feel like I needed to pay for the damage that was done to the car.
His attitude was, I didn't do anything wrong. That's your fault. You know, that's your problem. You need to clean it.
I'm still friends with everybody. I don't have any problems or any hard feelings toward anybody.
I'm just glad Judge Judy saw what I saw and that he was responsible.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Ewing versus Arbaugh. Step forward, please.
Marketing director Kathy Ewing is suing her ex-husband, student John Arbaugh, for the cost of their son's karate lessons. John says the lessons were Kathy's idea.
Miss Ewing, the defendant is your former husband. You have a child together, and according to your complaint, you and your former husband had agreed that your son would take karate lessons. You signed the contract. He agreed to pay for half the lessons. So far, is that correct, sir?
It is.
And it is your claim that after paying for approximately 10 months, he stopped paying, and you want him to fulfill his obligation under the contract?
Correct.
And you decided after 10 months you didn't want him to attend this program anymore. Is that right?
Well, things changed dramatically after 10 months. I had some life-altering surgery, and in consideration of that, I'm doing a lot of things, and one was redirecting my focus and my resources to doing things that will help me out in changing my life.
Okay. So you told her that you weren't paying anymore?
No, there's another circumstance in that I'd taken my son to the school, and the sensei there was having a summer camp, and there's a dozen kids running around.
The what?
The salon owner or the instructor.
Well, you said something else.
Sensei.
Sensei. That's what they call the instructor?
Yes, I do.
Sorry, I don't know the vernacular.
That's fine. So anyway, it was a situation where he had all these people running around and no adult help, and I offered to help him. And so I stayed and helped, and Kathy heard about that and called the mediator, complaining that she was going to call the sheriff if I went back again. At that point, I wrote a letter stating that, due to those circumstances, I couldn't support, going anymore because I was obviously not welcome. So if I'm not welcome, my money's support, and everything else is not welcome. And he had a copy of it. Our mediator had a copy of it. A copy went to Kathy as well.
Okay. So I have a couple of questions for you, Miss Ewing. This may be easy and it may be difficult. When did your son start the karate?
He started in March of 2000. John and I sat down and...
Shh. Just answer my questions. Okay. How old was he at the time?
He would have been 10, between 9 and 10.
And is there a contract that you signed?
Yes.
May I see the contract, please? Okay. So this was 24 monthly payments. Is that correct?
Yes.
So the program was for 2 years.
Correct.
And the total payments were $3,084. Is that correct?
Correct.
How much did your former husband pay in the 10 months that he made payments?
He paid approximately $58 a month. In October of that year, my son had been excelling in the program, and we sat down and discussed his moving into an advanced black belt program. At that time, we agreed to move him into a new program, so this program stayed in place, plus I signed a contract for an additional 24 months for the charges for the extra program.
This was in October of 2000?
Correct.
And the whole business was 1980?
Right.
And how much did he pay on this contract?
He paid one payment.
Of $41.25. Is that right, sir?
I really don't remember the details.
But do you remember, sir, you had the discussion about moving him into the adult program?
I did.
And you agreed at that time to participate?
With many, many reservations.
I don't care whether you had reservations or not.
Right.
Okay. Your defense to this, Mr. Arbauer, is that for whatever reason you became disenchanted. You told her that you were opting out of these two programs.
Yes.
You can't do that. You can't do that because in reliance on your statement that you would pay half of these two contracts, she contracted with them and she was obligated under the contract to pay the money. You can't in midstream say, I changed my mind. Do you understand that?
I understand what you're saying.
It's unreasonable. She is bound by the terms of this contract based in part upon your statement that you would pay half. And you followed through with that until you got to be in your bonnet about something that I don't really care about. And you had certain financial reversals. And you wanted to, according to you, place your financial resources in other directions. That's what you said.
Right.
You cannot do that to her detriment. You contracted to take care of this bill for your child, half of it. Do it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,910.75. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I tried for over 8 months to work it out.
For twice this length of time that he's been in karate, I've been paying for all of his snow skiing activities.
We obviously have not done any other combined things with my son.
It's all about, again, benefiting the children, and whatever happens to me really isn't important.
I think your kids learn from the way you treat other people, and if you're going to break contracts, what you're doing is teaching them to do the same as they get older, which is unfortunate.
20-year-old student Jennifer Klein is suing her former friend, 24-year-old ironworker Michael Rosenquist, for wrecking her car and then giving false information. Jennifer says his actions got her in trouble with the police.
Yeah, this is case number 177 on the calendar in the matter of Klein versus Rosenquist. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
All right, the basic of this case has to do with the fact that Miss Klein says, Mr. Rosenquist, that you were driving her car. She was in the car with you at the time you were driving the car, and you hit another car. And then Miss Klein says that when you got out of the car, the driver of the other car and you supposedly exchanged information, or you gave the owner of that car your information.
That's correct.
Which Miss Klein says was false. As a result of that, she was hauled in by the police because the car is registered in her name and the owner had the license plate, and she got into some serious difficulty. So she's suing you for a whole bunch of things, including fixing her car, the other man's car, because she was originally going to be tried with hit and run. Is that right?
Yeah.
And your defense to the case is, if she didn't like the way I handle it, she should have taken care of it herself.
Well, if you're a driver, you know, you should, depending on what happened, you know, no matter what happened, I feel that she should
Just a second, I got a feeling this is going to be one of those. One of those slippery things where he's thinking as he's talking. So we're going to get a real kick out of this. Okay? So let's pay attention. This is going to be like Comedy Central. All right, Mr. Rosenquist, let's start again.
Basically, I just feel that she should have had to give her information too, you know, just to follow through, you know, with the information that I gave.
So what you're saying is that, are you chewing gum?
Yes, ma'am.
So basically, Mr. Rosenquist, what you're saying is, if she didn't like the way I handled it, she should have handled it herself.
Yes.
You're a fast learner. First of all, let's go back. Why was he driving your car? Look at me. Don't smile. Don't smile, and don't give me a lot of baloney. Why was he driving your car?
Because he insisted on it, and he was checking to see if I had a noise in my car, and he was driving it to see what was wrong.
Was he a mechanic?
Yes.
Was he your mechanic?
No, he was a friend. That was a mechanic.
He was a friend of yours. Was he a date? Had you gone out with him?
We're just friends, good friends.
And on what day was he driving your car?
I believe it was July 17th, 2002.
And how long had he been driving your car?
Probably 2 minutes.
Where did this accident happen?
He was taking a right into an apartment complex.
Why was he going into an apartment complex?
Because that's where his friend was at, that he wanted to go see if he was home. He takes a right, and the music was up, kind of loud. I have a loud stereo. So he turned into the apartment complex, hit the other car, and the guy got out of his car, stopped us, and he got out of the car, started talking to the other guy. By the time I got out, he said that he had given him his information and that everything was going to be taken care of, that he was going to pay for all damages and for me not to worry about it. And so I calmed down, and we went back to his house, and I examined my bumper, which it had been scratched and ripped away a little bit, and he kept on assuring me everything was going to be taken care of.
What was the next thing that happened, Miss Klein?
A week later, he was talking to me, and I asked him if the guy had ever called him. He said no, he must have, you know, not really cared, not a lot of damage. And the next day, I get a phone call from my parents saying that the police called saying that I had been in a hit and run, and I needed to call Sherwood Police Department and work it out with them. So I called them. They told me that someone in the accident gave false information to the other driver, and so it's a hit and run, and since it's underneath my name, I'm the one responsible.
So what did you do?
I went to the police station, talked to him, and then they told me that they would put a warrant out for my arrest and arrest me if I did not bring him in. So I went and got him, and I brought him in.
What did you tell the police?
I told the police my version of the story.
Which was?
When we pulled into the parking lot, you know, the stereo was loud, and I didn't even feel anything. It was kind of a heat, nah, dead serious. Did not feel anything at all. I don't know if it was because the subs were going or what, but pulled in the parking lot, next thing you know, I've got this gentleman standing next to the window. You know, I couldn't even really understand him very well, but I could smell liquor, We were at the river all day, and I actually was drinking too. And he was a little bit belligerent. I felt a little bit threatened, hence the false information that I gave.
So you gave false information?
The only false information that I did give was not my last name.
Well, what last name did you give him?
My mother's maiden name.
So you gave him misinformation?
Still, he got a hold of me.
You gave misinformation?
So be it.
Oh.
I didn't want a drunk person showing up at my house, endangering my family or myself, or anybody else for that matter.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Klein says former friend Michael Rosenquist owes for wrecking her car and then giving false information.
What do you do for a living?
Iron worker.
How old are you?
24.
Do you go to church? I asked you a question.
Religiously?
Ever?
No. Yes, I do.
Do you know the name of a minister?
Do I? A few, yeah.
Good.
I know a few
Then
chaplains.
Just a second.
Sorry.
I'm way ahead of you. So if you were concerned that this belligerent drunk would contact you or go to your home, you say, listen, I don't know who you are, sir, so I'm going to give you the name of my minister. This is my name, and you can get in touch with me through my minister, and I will contact my minister, and we can make arrangements for me to fix your property through that. There are all kinds of ways to do it if you want to be honest. If you want to be dishonest and slick, you do what you did, which is give him misinformation so that he can't track you down. The only problem is he has her license plate number.
That's correct.
So she got in trouble. What did you do about it when you found out she got in trouble? What did you do?
I went down to the police station.
Did you take care of her car? The answer is either yes or no. Did you take care of the man's car?
Nope.
Why not?
That's what we're deciding here today.
We're not deciding anything. You already told her that you would take care of everything. You said, don't worry, I'll take care of everything. I gave him my information, I'll take care of it. That's what you told her. So you lied to her. Isn't that right?
Yes.
That means you're a liar. You also lied to me because you filled out this answer, which I read very carefully, which didn't say at all that you gave him misinformation. It says, he made it very tense, so I gave him my work address as a means of contacting me. So you gave him your work address, but with the wrong name.
Wrong last name.
Wrong name. What's your first name?
Michael.
Okay, let's see this. Bird, how many Michaels do you know? Just think. How many Michaels do you know? Do you know more than 2 Michaels?
I know more than 10 Michaels.
No more than 10 Michaels. What's your name?
Jeff DeMont.
Jeff! How many Michaels do you know?
More than 5.
What's your name?
Josh.
Better not be Michael.
Nope.
You know a couple of Michaels, Josh?
I know about 3.
We're not talking about a very, very odd name. We're talking about Michael. Michael. Right? And you work as an iron worker?
That's correct.
And how many people work in your plant?
My plant?
Where you work?
Where do I work?
Where you work. The plant where you work. Unless you do iron work in your backyard.
I build power plants and water treatment facilities. It depends.
So you must work with a lot of people.
Of course I do.
Any Michaels?
More than a few.
So let's not play with each other, Mr. Rosenquist. Miss Klein, I'm finished with playing with Mr. Rosenquist. He is a loser, and a dishonest one at that. So would you kindly tell me what your damages were?
First, I have a $75 ticket I had to pay because they gave me a ticket for failure to report an accident. Then I have an estimate of my insurance with my parents compared to one on my own now.
What do you mean?
Well, because of this whole entire situation, I was underneath my parents' insurance, and the accident was for the other guy's car was paid from my insurance company, and plus this extra ticket on my insurance too. So my insurance went through the roof.
He's not going to compensate you for that. You want to know why? Don't let somebody else drive your car. And if somebody is driving your car and turns up the blasters up so that you can't hear yourself think and you can't hear yourself have an accident, then that's your problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
Where is your engagement ring?
It's home.
So you still have it?
Yes.
Yeah, she wouldn't give it back.
Why didn't you give him back the engagement ring?
Because I figured he owed me more than that with his wedding. You stood me up.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Klein says former friend Michael Rosenquist owes for wrecking her car and then giving false information.
You want to know something else? I'm adding on the $75 ticket $500 because that's what I think your afternoon of having agita was worth when you had to go down to the police station after your parents being called and told that you were being charged with hit and run unless you went down there because he lied.
Okay, thank you.
And that's what I think it's worth other than taking care of the other person's car. Now, did you do that or did the insurance company do that?
Excuse me, can you repeat that?
Did your insurance company cover the other man's damage or did you?
No, the insurance company did,
Fine.
and that's the reason why.
What about the damage to your car?
I only have liability, so it didn't cover my car.
Is it a scratched bumper that you had fixed or that you didn't have fixed?
I haven't been able to get it fixed because my insurance has been so expensive. I haven't had a car for 10 months. And
you haven't had a car?
Well, I've had the car, but I haven't been able to drive it. I haven't been able to afford it being a college student. But I got an estimate, which is $586.50.
To fix the bumper?
Yes.
So he's going to pay you $75 for the ticket and $500 for either your aggravation or the bumper. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yes.
$575. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Please excuse. You may step out.
I think it went well. I'm happy that I got something, at least.
She knows that I was drinking all day long at the rivers. I mean, she was right there with me.
He continuously told me that once he got a job, he was going to reimburse me, and I never saw him or the money after that.
Lost a pretty good friendship over it, and, it's taken a lot of time out of me.
21-year-old Tiffany Schmidt and her brother, 23-year-old Travis, are suing 28-year-old club owner Eric Rabinowitz for breaching their contract by shutting down their rave. Eric is countersuing for attorney fees.
Now, this is case number 93 on the calendar in the matter of Schmidt versus Rabinowitz.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Who's Schmidt?
Yeah.
How are you related?
He's my brother.
According to what I read, Mr. Rabinowitz has a club. And you and your brother were young entrepreneurs. You were going into business, or you were in business together. You arranged for dances or get-togethers. You would rent out a club or a part of a club. You would charge an entrance fee. You would supply a DJ. Everybody would dance, have a good time. You would get a split, and you both made a little money. So you're like promoters, right?
Yes.
So you decided to engage Mr. Rabinowitz's club for an event. You paid a fee of how much?
$400 down, 25%.
So what?
$400 down and 25% of door sales.
So far, is that correct, Mr. Rabinowitz?
Yes.
And when was this event supposed to take place?
On December 28th.
And according to you, Mr. Rabinowitz closed the club during your event, causing you to lose a whole bunch of money. And you should have made thousands, and you only made how much?
He gave us $150 at the end of the night, and we also made the money off our pre-sale tickets.
Which was how much?
Somewhere around $450.
How much, Mr. Rabinowitz?
There was 122 people through the door. They paid $12 apiece. Whatever the math work is there, somewhere around $1,400. Like she said, most of the money was pre-sold. Most of the tickets were pre-sold. I think there was only about 30 people that paid at the door cash. She had sold tickets, hard tickets, to her customers. She also claimed that there would be hundreds of people at the show.
She said, it's not your turn to speak yet. All I want to know is how much money you made, Miss Schmidt, that night.
That evening we got $150 in cash from Eric.
I didn't ask you how much you got from Eric. I asked you how much you made.
$450 plus the $150, so around $600.
So you didn't lose any money?
No, we did lose the money. We lose the money that he kept.
Ms. Schmidt, you paid him $400 to rent the room. You ended up at the end of the day making more than $400. Is that right?
Okay. Yes.
Then you didn't lose any money. What you're claiming is because he closed the club early, we'll get to the reason in a moment, you could have made a lot more.
Okay.
Now, do we understand each other?
That's correct.
The thrust of the complaint is, other than the other stuff that you complain about, that he had people at the door, that he was watching who was coming into the place and he was collecting money rather than you collecting the money. I mean, you have all that as a complaint. The reason that Mr. Rabinowitz shut down your club was what?
There were several reasons why I shut
Look at me. Don't look at your paper.
Okay, sorry. There were several reasons why I shut the club down early. But the main gist of it was that her employees and staff were caught using drugs by the head of tobacco and liquor of Fort Collins, Colorado.
So the police came.
The police came, and then these people proceeded to be extraordinarily rude to the police and to me and my staff.
The police came?
Absolutely. Several times.
Why?
Because...
Is that usual? Look at me. Is that usual when you run an event?
No.
Was it the event particularly loud?
No.
Then why would they come?
I think it was twofold. One was, it was a rave, and there's a certain...
What's a rave? I don't know what a rave is.
I think Tiffany would be better at answering that question than I do, since, you know, she's the rave master. I'm just a...
What's a rave, please?
Actually, a rave is an all-night event, pretty much, where DJs come in and play different types of house and trance music, and kids dance to it.
The police came because this was scheduled to be an all-night event.
Not all night, but till 3:30, yes.
Well, that's pretty late.
That's pretty late.
To me, that's...
Depends what city you're in, but this particular music, I agree with you fully.
Any music. You got to do a lot more than dance and play
when
an
you're a
instrument
club
to keep
owner,
me up
you
till
want money,
3:30
you
in the
want
morning.
people in there drinking, you know?
Don't talk over me. It's irritating, and I'm old. Do you know the people who were caught using marijuana?
I don't personally, but I know their names, and I know they're
You know their names?
Yes, absolutely.
Were they caught inside or outside the club?
They were caught directly outside my office. Outside, but on my property.
I want you to write their names down on a piece of paper.
It's written right here on the contract.
Can I have
I just threw it on there.
Well, check them off. Are there a lot more people's names on there? Or
No, just the two.
Okay. Would you please show the plaintiffs this and ask them if these two people were in any way connected with their organization in either promoting or playing that evening?
They're the light techs.
Shh.
Was one of the people we hired to come in and do our visuals, and was his girlfriend.
So they were, in fact, related
Yes.
to you. And at what time were these two people arrested?
I'd say right around midnight.
Is that correct, Ms. Schmidt?
There were no arrests. They were ticketed.
What time were they ticketed?
It was at 11:47.
And what time did Mr. Rabinowitz close the club?
About just a few minutes after midnight.
So about the same time.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You say there were a lot of people there that were under 21.
Yes.
So they couldn't drink.
That's right.
But they could use drugs.
No.
But
We
they did
searched
use
people
drugs.
at the door.
They did use drugs.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tiffany Schmidt and her brother Travis say club owner Eric Rabinowitz breached their contract when he shut down their rave. Eric says the siblings' employees were doing drugs.
Didn't you know that if any of your employees or your contractors used drugs on or around the premises, that he had the ability to shut you down?
Well, he never gave us a chance to mitigate the damages for the first part.
Just a second, explain that to me, Ms. Schmidt.
Well, basically, we were under the them using drugs had nothing to do with us. We did not know that they had them.
It was your responsibility.
It was our responsibility.
My dear,
they were outside. We can't watch them.
My dear, I want you to explain to me. I know you have a word that you just used, mitigating damages.
Yes.
I don't think you know what that means.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Well, explain to me your understanding of what mitigating damages means.
Well, he could have given us the opportunity to send those people home and gone without them, because we would have been just fine without them.
That's not mitigating damages, madam. Mitigating damages is a legal term of art. That means that, for instance, if you rent an apartment with two roommates and one of the roommates takes off, you may be under an obligation to try to find another roommate to mitigate the damage that the other roommate has caused. Or if you rent a place, like you rented his establishment, and you cancel it a month before, he may have an obligation to try to rent it again to mitigate the damages that your cancellation cost. But once people are found in possession of drugs on his premises, there is no way that you can mitigate those damages.
Well, they weren't.
Because it is an indication that you have no control over your employees. And once you have no control, Ms. Schmidt, over your employees, Mr. Rabinowitz over here, who runs a business, could lose his license long-term because you were unable to control your employees. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good.
Can I please say something, Your Honor?
Sure.
Okay. First of all, the police did tell Eric that because of this, they were not arrested. They were
Don't
ticketed.
give me any hearsay.
Well,
I'm not interested.
I
You want to have a
it
witness?
On evidence for it.
Well, I'd like to. You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see the police report. X and Y were contacted after officers witnessed them preparing to smoke marijuana. Paraphernalia and marijuana were confiscated. Both subjects were issued summonses. It says that the police contacted the owner of the Starlight, Mr. Rabinowitz, and advised him that at least 2 persons who had been inside his establishment and were with the promoters were contacted and charged with possession of marijuana. After hearing that information, Rabinowitz chose to ask the persons to leave the Starlight and ask the show to end. And he's absolutely right. Why should he risk them coming back and finding more people inside with drugs?
Can I say something?
What?
They searched multiple people inside the venue and they didn't find any drugs or paraphernalia.
Let me tell you something, sir. All they had to find was another handful. 1 or 2. And they can destroy his business. You have no right to let that happen. What are you complaining about? He's got a business to protect.
Our complaint, Your Honor, is that he was going to shut us down before this incident even happened.
Well,
he broke
do you
the
think that there was a...
contract in
Listen,
several
let me
ways.
ask you this question. What possibly could be his motive for doing that?
In my personal opinion, I would say his motive was that the evening was a 16 and up show. His bar sales were not high because of the fact that most people were under 21, and he wanted to close it down because he wasn't getting the amount of money that he had expected.
That was promised. I was promised a certain amount of people by the promoter, and they didn't show up, so she's basically putting it on me for being a poor promoter and a poor worker and entrepreneur. You know, I put shows on all the time, 7 a week, and I have 100 people in my club every Saturday night, and there was about 122 people on that night. I mean, all I have to do is open the doors for 100 people to show up, so obviously...
So, what's the drinking age at your...
21.
21.
Oh, yeah.
And you said there were a lot of people there that were under 21.
Yes.
So they couldn't drink.
That's right.
But they could use drugs.
No.
But
We
they did
searched
use
people
drugs.
at the doors.
They did use drugs.
She did.
You want to be promoters? You got to be careful that your people who are employed by you, people who are around underage people, don't have drugs, whether it be marijuana or ecstasy or pills or Quaaludes or anything else, because if you do, the possibility exists that you're going to lose money. So you have no case, Ms. Schmidt, nor Mr. Schmidt. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Oh, just a second. I have a countersuit. Are you serious about your countersuit, or you want to say goodbye, countersuit?
I would love to just get that out of here.
Perfect. Thank you.
He came up, they said, everything's fine, the club looks great, you guys are doing wonderful, and about 2 minutes later he would come up freaking out about something.
I tried to pull him off.
If anyone was on drugs, it was him.
Well, he did disappear a few times and come back very irritated. But I tried to pull him off the side and explain that they did have a contract with Planet Fleur, which is peace, love, unity, and respect, and that he needed to follow his contract. And he basically said the contract doesn't mean anything. No, he did say the contract didn't mean anything to him anymore. If it didn't go his way, he was going to close him down.
24-year-old file clerk Barbie Smith is suing 22-year-old student Angeline Romero for damages resulting from a road rage assault.
Yeah, this is case number 45 on the calendar, the matter of Smith versus Romero. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Smith, it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you while you were crossing a street.
Yes,
You were
ma'am.
crossing the street, she was driving her car. Ms. Romero, who you didn't know prior to this incident, says that whatever she did, she acted in self-defense. So why don't you tell me when this happened?
The date was January 28th. It was a Tuesday, about 8:50 in the morning.
January 28th of 2003 at 8:50 a.m.
Yes.
And where did it happen?
On the corner of Cherokee and Bayard.
All right, and what were you doing there?
I was getting off the bus going to school, and I proceeded to cross the street.
How wide is the street?
I have exactly the pictures right here.
Thanks, Bert. Okay, I see where you got off the bus and I see the street. So tell me what happened.
I proceeded to cross the street. I was halfway there. All of a sudden, I heard honking, just honking, and she proceeded to push on the gas and bump my knee. And
were you walking slowly?
No, I wasn't. I was walking my normal. I did it every day. And
who do you live with, Miss Smith?
I live by myself with me and my kids.
How many children do you have?
3.
And how do you support yourself?
I'm a file clerk right now.
Okay, do you get any sort of disability?
No. But I am currently going through therapy ever since this happened.
Prior to this happening?
Prior to this happening.
Whatever.
Sorry.
Before this happened, were you getting any treatment?
No. Before
any
the
medication?
No. And I traveled that road. I traveled that road every time.
So you're crossing the street and she hit your knee with the car. And then what happened?
As soon as I got on the phone with the cops.
You got on the phone or she did?
No. As soon as I grabbed the phone from the passerby saying she was going to call the cops, she reached into her car and threw a bottle at my chest and then took off. She just took off. I got her license plate number, though, and that's when I had called the cops. I got a police report.
Can I see it, please? Who was this lady who's with you?
This is my mother. She,
okay, I just wanted to know. She wasn't there that day?
No. But she saw bruises on me from the bottle. She had to take me to school because I was so scared to catch the bus because nothing like this ever happened to me. And I was just a pedestrian. It could have happened to anybody. She was just, I guess, having a bad day and took it out on me.
Did you seek medical treatment?
Yes, I did, ma'am.
Can I see the medical report, please?
And I am currently still having back pains and going through therapy. I think I missed about a week of school after that. I couldn't even go to school that day because I was so traumatized of what she did to me. And any other time I would have been very, very aggressive towards her. I didn't even touch this lady. All we did was argue. She's the one that assaulted me. And
okay.
I feel so traumatized.
All right, Mr. Romero, now I'll hear you.
Okay. She was in the middle of the street. There was no signs or, she was just in the middle of the street.
Look
I was
at me.
driving.
Look at me.
Sorry. I was driving. I honked at her so she could get out of the street. She then walks up to my car, hits my car with her hand. So, I get out of my car partially so I could tell her to get out of the way. Then she starts cussing at me, talking trash to me. So a lady comes and says, I'm going to call the cops on you. You guys break it up. So I'm getting back in my car. She slams the door on my leg. So in self-defense, she would not get out of the way. I had a plastic bottle of juice. It wasn't even full. I threw it at her so she'd get out of the way. I left. I didn't know what. She's twice my size. I don't know what she was going to do. So I left. There was not even a police case. They dropped it.
Let's go back.
Okay.
She had just gotten off the bus and she was crossing the street. Is that right?
More like messing around in the street.
I don't know what you mean messing around in the street.
Okay. Well, she was in the middle of the street, basically.
And you were coming down that street.
Right.
How far away from her was your car when you first saw her?
A few feet.
That's impossible. Had you just turned onto the street?
Yeah, no, I was driving down the street.
Right. So
she was in the middle of the street, so I...
Ms. Romero, I want you to pay attention. You're driving down the street. I'm sitting in my car. I'm looking to the back of the courtroom. Let us say Miss Smith was standing in the middle of the courtroom back there. I would see her from a distance of, let us say, 30 feet. So when you say you saw when she was a couple of feet away from you, that's stupid. Do you understand? You're driving down the street, and how far away from your car was she when you first saw her?
Oh, okay.
Duh.
I don't know.
Point to something in this room.
Okay, I saw her like from here.
From
in
where
the
you
street.
are to where?
From to that guy right there. From me-
Officer Bird.
Officer
So
Bird.
that's probably about 20 feet.
Okay.
So you were paying attention enough to see her approximately 20 feet away from you. Should have been more, because if you were paying attention, you were more than 20 feet into the street, right?
Right.
What were you doing? Were you on the phone?
No.
Now, when you saw her from approximately 20 feet away, where was she in this street? Was she in the middle of the street?
She was in my lane. When I was driving, she was in my lane, like standing, whatever she was doing.
Well, she wasn't just standing there. She was walking across the street slowly.
Yeah.
Right?
She should have.
Listen to me. She was walking across the street very slowly. Correct? She's not an idiot. She's not just standing in the middle of the street contemplating, her navel. She's walking, maybe she was daydreaming about something, but she's walking across the street very slowly. So what did you do?
I stopped a few feet in front of her, honked my horn at her.
Why did you honk your horn?
Because she wouldn't get out of the street.
That's not true. She was crossing the street. She was just crossing
Well,
slowly.
she should have crossed at a crosswalk. That's what they're for. Not to mess around in the street, really. She was in the street, walking slowly, so I stopped, I honked at her.
So why didn't you wait for me to cross?
Shh, just a second.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Don't answer her.
Sorry.
I'm sorry would be nice here for acting badly.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Put your hand down. Go like this with your nails. Go like this. Good. Now stop.
And later today,
The two of you are out there tooling around on the jet skis. Mr. Kilgore says this accident happened and it was your fault. You hit his jet ski. So I want to know which one of you is at fault. You can huddle and you can make up your mind. Get together.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Barbie Smith claims Angeline Romero assaulted her while crossing the street. Angeline claims Barbie slapped her car.
Somebody is crossing the street. This is not a busy thoroughfare. There aren't a lot of cars there. That's the kind of street it looks like because I saw pictures of it. You had several choices. You could have just sat in your car and waited for her to get across the street. If she's slow, she's slow. Some people are fast, some people are slow. You're not the crosswalk monitor. It's not your job to tell her by honking your horn that she should have crossed the street at some other location. She was crossing the street. Pedestrian always has the right of way. Did you ever hear that statement?
Yeah, but also, if you see a car coming at you, I'm sure you would hurry it up. Not
Well, I certainly would.
lollygag in the street when a car's coming.
Oh, my God.
That maybe is true. But you're driving a car, several thousand pounds of vehicle, and she is crossing the street. Miss Romero, so you can't act like a jerk. Which you did. You acted like a jerk. And you can't. And I believe that that's exactly what you did. Once you honked your horn, she got annoyed, and maybe she just stood there. Is that right?
Right.
I mean,
I was
certain
traumatized.
things, listen to me, don't get me traumatized, Miss Smith.
Traumatized by what?
Miss
I didn't-
Romero,
Sorry.
shut your mouth. You did the wrong thing. 100% wrong thing. She didn't act in a smart fashion because once you honked your horn, instead of moving along, you said, what's she honking her horn at? And I'm going to just stand here and really irritate her. Right?
I really didn't want
Look,
to.
hey, don't fool around with me. You just stood there. And then she crept up her car and she hit you with the bumper.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Sure you did, because that's what the doctor says. Sure you did. Wrong, 100% wrong. And you were 100% wrong. Because what you should have done is when Miss Idiot over here decided to honk the horn at you, you should have just walked across the street
Right.
and forgotten about it. Even your mother knows that's true, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You try to avoid a confrontation, Miss Smith. You don't try to precipitate one. She didn't act like a responsible driver.
Right.
You acted like a hothead pedestrian. And I also believe that once she hit you or got close enough to you to touch you with her bumper, you slammed her car with your hand. Like
Yeah,
that.
like, what are you doing?
Just a minute. Like that. Right?
Right.
You forgot to tell me that, Miss Smith. How come in your story you forgot to tell me that? Do you understand there are certain things that have a common human experience? If you live long enough, you've seen it. I have actually witnessed my own husband crossing the street, and he felt as if a car got too close. Slapped the car. And he is what I consider a relatively intelligent man. A man, so those things are not necessarily, yeah. But I've seen him do that. And I've seen a lot of other people do that. So that's what you did. I know that's what you did.
Yeah, I do.
And then she got out of her car and she threw a bottle at you. Further stupid. Further stupid. Put your hand down. Go like this with your nails. Go like this. Good. Now stop. If I had to choose fault, you would be at fault because you had no right to honk your horn at her. She is the pedestrian. She has the right of way. She may have been traveling too slowly for you. If she were walking with a walker or a cane, maybe you would have been smart enough to stop and not honk your horn. But maybe you're that stupid that you felt as if people who have walkers and people with canes should walk at some place other than where I'm driving. So ultimately, it's your fault. And you have to be punished for being at fault. You, however, don't get what you're looking for. And what you're looking for in this lawsuit is, for your aggravation, pain, and suffering, $5,000. I want you to get that figure out of your mind because you are partially responsible for all of this because you decided to play, I'm not getting out of the street. I'm entitled to be in this street as much as she's entitled to drive in this street. So you had a lot of aggravation. You had a little bit of pain and suffering. That's worth $500. That's your judgment. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you, ma'am.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think she needs to stop calling me stupid.
I'm satisfied with it.
She needs to get a life
It was all about respecting other people
and stop trying to sue everybody.
and letting other people cross the street.
She probably doesn't have a job, so she needs to sue someone.
And it was wrong.
The police dropped the whole case.
Denver Police Department is, they go after the big crimes.
There was no criminal case or anything.
They really don't care about little cases, so
Look at her, she wanted to fight me. She's twice my size.
just watch out for people and
There's no way I'm gonna go, try and fight her.
how they drive.
Obviously nothing happened.
Yeah, it was a victory.
For property damage and stolen belongings.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2121, GN versus Pine Jagoom.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Gwillen, you rented a room in a house that you were renting or that you own?
That I was renting.
It's a 3-bedroom house, and you live there with whom?
At the time, it was me and my sister, and then my cousin.
How long have you been living in that house?
I was living there previously with my sister for about 5 years, and then she then moved, and then it came over to me in 2020.
So you've been living there for 7 years.
About 5 years, yeah.
When did you decide to rent a room?
She came to me around early May, saying that she was going through a situation with her previous roommate.
That would
Sorry,
be you.
Nigel, yeah. Sorry about that.
How did you know her?
We worked together as servers. But then she came to me on the job saying that she heard that I had a room available and that she was going through it with some of her previous roommates before. She said she needed some place to stay, so I told her that she could stay with me until she got on her feet.
Is that the conversation?
No.
Okay, so let me hear your version of the conversation.
So someone did tell me he was renting a room. I did need a room for rent. As we all know, COVID did happen, so I wasn't in my place I had stayed previously. I was moving. And so I went to him and I said, hey, I heard you had a room for rent. He's like, yeah, girl. And I'm like, yeah. So I could pay, I can move in now, basically. Because I came to him May 31st, moved in June 1st, which was the next day. And he was like, yeah, girl, just pay $800 a month. Just give me $1,000 to move in. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. I'm like, all right, for sure. It's like, it'll be month to month. And that was it. It was never till you get back on your feet. It was never like a helping hand. I paid to move in with him.
He never said it was a helping hand.
Well, he did just state that I was going to be staying there until I got back on my feet, which was never the case. I was staying there.
But you needed a room.
Yes.
Okay. And the rent was $800 a month.
Yes.
And he asked you for $1,000 up front as security.
Yes.
And when did she move in?
She moved in on May 30th, Your Honor.
When did she pay you for June's rent?
Immediately. So the day that she moved in is when she gave me the money.
So she paid June's rent.
Yeah, she did pay these. She's about 2 months backed up on utilities.
What about September?
We weren't there for September because the altercation already occurred on August 27th and 28th.
Okay, so she was there for 3 months and she paid you for 3 months.
Yes, ma'am.
Your complaint is that there was an altercation, and at some point during her tenancy, she brought in her boyfriend who's going to uncross his arms.
Yes.
Who was living with her.
Mm-hmm.
And when was that?
So she told me previously to her moving in that she did have a boyfriend and that he would be there from time to time. I allowed it. During his stay and while they were there, they were always arguing. It was like commotion, like every other night. He would punch holes in the wall. They would constantly get into like fights. So what happened to how this whole thing got about, one day I had came home and I actually have the messages here.
Those are the messages you had on your phone?
Yeah, between me and her men, yeah.
Okay, may I see
So
those?
he was
May I see
standing
them,
outside
please?
of the building. I came home around.
Just a second. I have to read them first, sir.
Yeah.
I don't understand what this is.
So I was pulling up to my house around 7 a.m. in the morning. He was outside sitting on the steps crying and smoking a blunt. He walked up to my car asking if we can have a conversation. I said, sure. He gets in my car. We're talking. He tells me that him and Nija just got into a fight. Nija kicked him out again.
He and his girlfriend got into
he and his girlfriend, Nija, had gotten into a fight.
This was on August 27th.
Yes, August 22nd, yeah. So we had the conversation. He told me that Nija...
What were you doing look at me. What were you doing out at 7:30 in the morning?
So me...
No, just...
Me and Nija, like the night previously, we had went out together. We got in pretty late. We were out drinking. We did get into a situation, but it wasn't a situation...
I just want to know what you were doing out 7:30 in the morning. That's my question.
I was just leaving and walking to my car.
Did you have a conversation with Mr.
We had a
Guillaume?
brief 2 to 3 minute conversation.
Okay, but you had a conversation with him. Now, you had an argument with your girlfriend the night before, you just said. What kind of an argument did you have with her?
I wanted it to go. She felt how she felt. It was never an argument of, yelling at her or like we were going at it. It was just like...
Well, you had been out drinking.
Yeah.
And when you were out drinking the night before, did you have any altercation with your girlfriend while you were out?
No.
So you had the altercation with her in the house?
Yes, in the apartment.
Okay. Now, he works nights? What were you doing?
Nights and days, yeah. I'm a server bartender, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, he wasn't home when you were having these fights with this argument
Not
with
a
your girlfriend?
fight, not even an argument, but no, ma'am, he wasn't
He
home.
was not at home. And when he came home that morning, you were outside?
I was walking to my car.
He was outside on the steps crying.
I wasn't
Just a
on the
second.
steps.
Sorry.
Wasn't on the steps.
Just a second. You have to understand, I move slowly but methodically.
Got you. Sorry, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, do you work?
Yes, I do.
Where?
Security.
Security for whom?
I lied.
What time do you report to work on the 27th?
On the 27th, I went to work late because of the situation that had happened previously that day with the cops, and we have the text messages of me texting my supervisor.
What situation previously that day? He wasn't home. So what situation previously that day?
What happened previously that day was that...
Previously what day?
Earlier during the day, he had...
That was 7:30 in the morning. You hadn't seen him.
I'm having
Wasn't the 27th?
That wasn't the 27th when that happened.
Was
We
the
had the
22nd?
conversation on the 26th. Early coming back, it was 7 that day because we had got into it. I didn't see her at all. After me and her had our little falling out, I'm walking to my car. We have the conversation. I go home.
You went home for what?
He said that I was living with her. I was never living with her.
You were.
You went home for what at 7:30 in the morning? What did you go home for?
To sleep.
To sleep. So what you're saying is it wasn't on the 27th, it was the 26th.
This altercation that happened with me on the steps, it either was the 26th or the 25th, but this happened way prior before the day on the 27th. The 27th is the day where the first police incident happened, where there was the actual dispute over him and her. He said that she didn't pay. The 27th is not the day that we got into the altercation.
What was the date?
It was the 22nd.
It was the 22nd.
22nd
of August, 2022.
Yeah.
And I'm off Mondays and Tuesdays. So I was off. I went home to sleep after I left the apartment.
So on the 22nd, Your Honor.
On the 22?
Yeah, on 22, which is a Monday morning at 7:30. I pulled into my garage. He was outside crying.
So it wasn't on the 27th?
No, it was on the 22nd, yeah. 22nd in the morning, yes, ma'am. It was 7:30 in the morning. He's sitting there crying. I come in. He asks, can he come in my car to talk to me? We talk. He tells me that him and Nija got into another altercation. She hits him. He stops her from doing what she wants to do. He said that Nija expressed that she's talking to other people and that she just wants him to leave her alone. He then asked me, do I know about her dealing with any men or anything? I tell him I've only seen her with one guy. It was some light-skinned dude who she went to the bowling alley with. But other than that, I didn't see anything. I told him, with me being 25 and him being 20, I said, you're a young man. You have your own car, you got a place, you're doing stuff. You should be living life. You shouldn't be, getting beat or dealing with all this stuff. Just be young and live your life, That's when he then...
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have that sort of a conversation with him?
Not at all.
Okay, tell me what...
The conversation was 2 to 3 minutes. I never entered his car. I was walking out.
No, tell me what you said to him.
I told him that me and her got into it. You might not see me around here. I don't know what the situation is. And he did tell me, focus on yourself. Y'all will be good.
Okay, so it's pretty much, so whatever. That was a discussion. You had a fight with her on the 22nd, and there was some registering some complaint. Mm-hmm. Sir, if you say you might not see me around here, we had an argument, there was registering some sort of a complaint. Yeah. You didn't leave there happy on the 22nd.
Yes.
Is this... Right? You didn't leave there happy.
I never was upset, like how he's trying to make it seem. We didn't have this conversation of me being beat on or me crying.
You didn't leave... Mr. Jim, you didn't leave there happy that morning.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
You don't have to get into the nuances of it. You weren't happy. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's the 27th, and you say you told him you're a young guy. You don't have to...
live your life, yeah.
Live your life.
And then he thanks me in those messages that I gave you right
Okay. Would you tell me what you know with regard to the vandalism?
Once I opened the door, I seen shattered glass all over the floor. His room was completely vandalized. There was a knife in the wall.
Can you explain these photographs to me?
I can't explain the photographs. I didn't do it.
Carlos Guillen claims his former roommate, Nija Pine, and her boyfriend, Gallo June, vandalized his property. Nija is countersuing for a false arrest, tire damage, and cyberbullying.
Now, 22nd moves into the 23rd, 24th. Anything happened the 23rd, 24th, 25th?
On the 26th, I had got a phone call from one of my friends saying that Nija, at the place that we were working at, was going around telling people that I was trying to sleep with her boyfriend, saying that I'm trying to make him gay and that I go for straight men.
Just a second.
All this stuff.
Just a second. That's all hearsay, by the way, unless you have a witness to that.
Yes.
And I assume that you could have a witness to that if you like. Did you, Ms. Pine, have any conversation at work with any of your colleagues about discussions that the plaintiff may have had with your boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Do you remember who?
It's actually another coworker.
Coworker.
A mutual friend between us.
Okay. And without going into the text of the conversation, were you registering complaints about Mr. Guillen?
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor.
That's all. That's all that's relevant.
So with that being said, that following morning on the 27th, I then walked up to her room around 8 o'clock because, she's living in my house. I'm helping her out. She's talking about me at my place of business. So I went up there to go ask her, what's going on, what's happening. The moment I go up there, she's like, you're this and this and this. We start arguing at this point. Like, we're both yelling at each other. It's getting heated. She then tells me that she's going, 6 dudes come to my house.
How much later after the conversation?
This is probably literally 10 minutes after the conversation. This was very fast. She had these men come to my house. I saw one of the dudes outside. I was trying to, go outside and just be like, look, I'm not trying to do anything to her. We got into an argument. I'm hearing stuff. Gallo, out of nowhere, comes from a corner and tries to swing at me. Once he does that, I then go inside my house, I go into my room, and I look at my window, and it's 6 men outside my home. She then lets these men inside the house. They're banging on my door, talk about bring your outside and all this stuff. Oh, you want to fight women, da-da-da-da. All this mess, banging on my door and stuff.
Was anyone else in the house other than the two of them?
It was my cousin with me at the time.
That's not your cousin?
No, this is my witness, Imani. It was my cousin at the time.
A witness to what?
I witnessed to the next day, Your Honor. But back with this day, my cousin was with me. He wanted to go out and fight and do it. I said, no, we're going to sit here and wait. The police end up getting called from the neighbors because it's 6 men outside banging and cussing and making a scene. The police then get there. There was an officer who, I don't know if she already knew previously or who she was cool with, but the officer said that because I'm a 6'8" man and she is a woman, she feels intimidated by me and all this stuff. So he told me that the men who were there is allowed to stay there because she is a tenant there and that's her place, so they're considered her guest. Once that was said, Your Honor, I immediately got everything that I could and I booked a hotel at the Westin. I stayed there at the Westin for 9 days. That day, she was going around on social media saying that I was scary and that I ran in my room and that I called the cops, just basically talking smack about me on the gram. Hold on, Your Honor, I'm trying to find it.
If I may interject, if I may.
Not yet.
All right.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. But she went on social media. It's
Okay,
like,
just a second. So was what you're telling me you don't have that?
It
unless
might
it's
be in that file, yeah, sorry. But it's like a message of her saying, like, that's what she posted. Once she posted that, and, you know, people start hitting me up.
I see it.
Yeah. Once she started posting that, people started hitting me up. They're like, what's going on, and this and this. So I then went on Instagram, and I had made a comment. I called her for short, stands for because she was going around saying that I was dirty. She went around telling that I was dirty, so I just let it be known on social media that the only thing dirty was her. You know, since she was talking about me on the gram, I decided to, you know, react.
The truth of the matter is, although it's not pleasant, that's what people do on the internet.
Yeah.
And
I was just matching energy, you know? Yeah.
Got it. Let's get to your lawsuit, sir. So far, she's lived there 3 months and she's paid 3 months' rent. Okay. Your claim is that during the time that you were in the hotel, when you were out of the apartment, there was damage done to the property.
Right.
Do you have photographs of the damage that was done to the apartment while you were out of the hotel?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it, please?
Here you go.
Where did you go when you finally left the plaintiff's house?
After I got my U-Haul, he dropped me off to my uncle's house. And I stayed
On what
there.
date?
So I went there the night of the 27th, August 27th, 2022, and I came back the next day on the 28th to get my things.
Okay, so he left on the 27th, you left on the 27th after he did?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you leave as well with your girlfriend? Correct. Where did you go?
I went to my grandfather's house where I was staying
And how long have you been staying with your grandfather?
all my life
Where do you live now?
with my grandfather.
And where do you live?
With my uncle.
When you finally got back into your house, Mr. Gwillian, this is the way you found it.
Yes.
On what date did you come back? Did you find it this condition?
That was August 28th, Your Honor.
August 28th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I had woke up to a whole bunch of phone calls from my witness, Imani, and a family member saying that they were there, they saw the place.
You want to stand up?
Yeah.
Would you tell me what you know about what happened on the 27th/28th of August with regard to the vandalism?
I wasn't there the 27th, but we had a conversation that led to me coming to the all over the floor. His room was completely vandalized. There was a knife in the wall, but this was all like downstairs. Once I realized...
I'm going to show you these photographs, and I'm going to ask you if these photographs are a true and accurate representation of what you saw when you walked in on the 28th.
Yeah. Yes.
May I have them back, please, Kevin? Have you been to Mr. Gwillian's house before?
Yes.
Was it always in good order?
Yes. He's a clean freak.
You moved out on the 28th for how long?
I moved out on the 28th. I didn't come back after that, yes.
Permanently?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you seen these photographs?
Yes, I did, actually. His family member sent them to me.
Okay. Can you explain these photographs to me?
I can't explain the photographs. I didn't do it.
Okay. Fine.
I wasn't there, actually, and I have proof I wasn't.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Just a second.
Yeah, okay.
Just a second.
It's crazy.
She may not have personally done it. The question is, he certainly didn't do damage to his own property.
Oh.
There is no... Well, if you have proof that he did
have
damage
proof,
to
Your
his
Honor.
own property, then I'd certainly like to see it.
I do have proof I was not there, and...
I don't care whether you were not there or not.
Okay.
He can't show me he wasn't there, and your brother is not here, and he can't show me he wasn't there. So I have to decide if it was a stranger, the plaintiff, or this side Maybe not you, but someone acting on your behalf.
Carlos Guillen is accusing his former roommate, Nigel Pye, and her boyfriend, Gallo June, of...
Now I have damage.
What I would like to say...
No, I don't want you to say anything. I want you to tell me what proof you had that he damaged his property.
I would like to restate, I have proof that he did not care about the apartment, that when I moved in, it was in horrible condition, actually, and he's not a clean freak, and I wasn't there to vandalize the apartment at all.
Oh, just a second. I just asked you a question. Can't you give me an answer? It's a simple answer. You said to me, I have proof that he vandalized his property. Is that what you said?
Well, I have, Your Honor, if I may.
Just a second. I want to make sure that that's what you said. I have proof that he vandalized his property.
His property was vandalized when I moved in, is what I'm saying.
Oh, no, madam.
And I did...
Oh, just a second.
She says, I have proof, Your Honor, he damaged his own property.
Okay, so all I want you to do is show me proof that he damaged his own property.
Okay, so I do not have video proof of him doing it, but based on my countersuit and the fact that I was falsely arrested and the harassment, the lies, even the online post that I haven't been able to show you yet, that he is framing me and that he did vandalize his own apartment and he didn't care about it.
Just a second. I'm willing to look at proof of any proof that you have that he vandalized his own apartment.
So around the time...
Not so around, just show me.
Okay, sure. So what I have in my hand here, Your Honor, if I may, is this proof that before I moved in, the apartment was not well taken care of. And like I said, I don't have proof that he went in and did it himself, but I do have proof that the apartment was never cared about to begin with. And after he actually moved all his things out, which he claimed and stated on social media, he took all his valuables.
You can take these back. This is not what I'm talking about, madam. That's a dirty bathroom that you showed me. This is vandalism.
I didn't do
There is no question in my mind that this is vandalism. This isn't dirty house. It's disgusting. Somebody took powder and liquid. This isn't just sloppy and messy. This is clearly vandalism. So is that all the proof that you have? You said, I have proof that he vandalized his own...
As far as that goes, I would like to recant that because I don't have proof that he did it, but I do have proof that I'm being framed, yes.
You have to understand, Ms. Pine, there are two things. Either he vandalized his own property, which I find is unreasonable because he would have to live with all this filth that's in his bed.
Well,
I'm speaking. I would have to find that he took a knife to his own sofa and destroyed the cushions to his own sofa. And quite frankly, I don't know this gentleman well, but he does not appear to be psychotic. Now, I don't say that he may not be a truth teller all the time, but he doesn't appear to be psychotic. So no person who's not psychotic does this to themselves. So either some stranger in the night came in and vandalized his property, or you, your boyfriend, and or your brother, who, did you say that you called your brother to come?
I called my father.
Your father to come?
Yes, and my father called my brother, and he came.
Just a second.
Yes.
I knew I heard brother in here. Did your brother
but I didn't
come?
call my brother.
Okay. Called at least brother. I don't know if father came too. So I have to find if it was total stranger, the plaintiff, or you, boyfriend, father, brother, friend, whatever it was. So all I'm asking you to do is, do you have any other proof, other than the nonsense that you gave me, that he caused this serious vandalism of his own house?
I do not have proof that he caused it, but I do have proof I was not there, and...
I don't care whether you were not there or not.
Okay.
Do you understand? I don't care whether you weren't there or not. He can't show me he wasn't there, and your brother is not here, and he can't show me he wasn't there, and your father is not here, and he can't show me that he wasn't there. Do you understand? So I have to decide if it was a stranger, the plaintiff, or this side.
On Trail Brooks for a carload.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge.
Hello.
Case 2108, Howard versus Brooks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Howard, your case is simple. You claim a loan to the defendant for the down payment on a car.
Yes.
When did you make this loan?
March 24th of this year.
How much was it?
I gave him $1,500, and he paid $300.
Where did you take the money from?
I had it at my home.
In cash?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a hairstylist. I'm an owner-operator.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's the sole source of your income?
Yes. I own a salon business. I'm opening my second one.
Tell me how you know the defendant.
He was a client of a former stylist many years ago, so I met him during the salon.
Did you have any sort of relationship with him?
At the time that I met, no.
No. At the time that you gave him this loan,
we were friends.
What did he say he needed the loan for?
To get a vehicle.
To get a car?
He was at Mercedes. He said that he needed help with the down payment. He was short some for a down payment on a car that he wanted.
Did you have that conversation on the phone or in person?
Yeah, he called me and asked me for originally $2,500 to help him with the down payment. And I told him, well, I don't know if I have that much. I'll see what I can get him. I had the $1,500. He came to pick it up at my home.
And that was on the 24th of March?
Yes.
When did you purchase your car?
I believe it was the 24th as well.
You have any paperwork for the car? What paperwork do you have there? I just want to see what you brought with you today.
Basically, the lien holder paper.
And what is that supposed to tell me?
I believe it has the date on there when I purchased it.
Okay. And how much did you put down on the car?
Not asked for it. I just mentioned to her that I
No, well,
needed
just a
it.
second. I asked you a question.
Okay.
Why did you need extra money towards the down payment? Did it affect the payments? Did it affect the insurance? Did it affect the
yes.
premium?
Basically, the car, it was like $74,000. So if I was to put down a lower payment, like you were saying, the payment would be higher for the monthly. So if I put down a little more, it dropped it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she gave you $1,500, not $25.
Yes.
But she gave you $1,500.
Yes.
And she gave that to you around the same time that you purchased the car. Were you current in your insurance payments on the car?
Yes.
And then you crashed the car.
Yes.
And the insurance company paid the lien holder on the car.
Yes.
Made the payout.
Yes.
So you didn't get any money from the insurance.
No.
So now you have no car.
A Tesla.
A Tesla. And how much did you pay for the Tesla?
I put down like $8,000.
Where'd you get the $8,000 from?
I work. I have a place where I hold traveling nurses.
Did you take the money out of a bank or did you have it in cash?
I had it in cash.
The $8,000.
Yeah.
How much money do you make from this business that you have?
It varies depending on how many nurses I have staying there.
So you own the property, or do you manage the property?
I manage the property. So it's basically housing nurses or people that travel for business.
And how long have you had that business?
I've been doing that for maybe a couple years now.
That's how you support yourself?
That, and I do training as well, fitness training.
Okay, so now you paid back dollars.
I'm not quite sure the date, but
Give me a month.
I'm not quite sure.
When did he give you the $300?
May 17th.
Okay.
Tell me why you gave it back, the $300.
I gave it back to her because she basically...
Not basically, this is basically.
Because she kept asking for it. So just to get her off me for a second, so I gave her $300. Just I didn't feel like I owed it to her because I thought that, you know, it was given to me because we were like really cool.
Just a second. Okay. All right. Well, Miss Howard.
You
Miss
can't
Howard.
be serious.
Miss Howard.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been operating your two salons?
I'm opening a new one now, and the first one was opened in 2012.
Do you live with anyone?
My children.
How many kids do you have?
I have 3.
How old are they?
I have a 17, 18, and 21-year-old.
Big kids?
Yeah, college.
Their father?
No.
No. But he also helps.
Yes, he does.
And you sound like a really intelligent, put-together woman who's had her own business, who's got 3 kids, college kids.
Yes.
Moving forward.
Yes.
Why? Why do you think, you know, I know that you work, because if you're a hairdresser and that's your source of income, you work really hard. It takes a long time to accumulate $1,500. You know, I'm sure you get some tips and stuff. That's the cash that you keep.
Yeah.
So you work hard and you've got 3 kids who need money. He wants to buy an uber expensive car and he wants his payments to be lower. So he says to you, not that he needs it, How did he present it to you?
He said he needs help. He needs the money for the down payment. And I knew, he told me that, you know, the situation, his car got taken away or whatever. And
his car got what?
His previous vehicle was taken from him.
From how?
I don't know.
What kind of a car did you have? Before you bought the BMW?
That's what it was. It was a BMW.
Oh, and then you bought a Mercedes?
Yeah.
Okay, so you bought, sorry, I got that confused. You bought the Mercedes using some of her money. Before that, you had a BMW.
Yes.
Okay, and now you have a Tesla. Do you understand how foolish that sounds?
Yes.
You don't want to sound foolish.
Well, like I said, he's had a baby on the way any day now, and my compassion for the situation, I was like, okay, I'll give you that. And I know he's had a source of income. It's not like I've ever known him not to have an income. So I felt like, okay, he'll do right by me. Of course, he didn't. We see.
Do you know how many people stand in exactly that spot and say, you know, I trusted him. He gave me this story, gave me that story.
Yes.
And what I'm telling any guy who takes money from you to lower his car payment and buys a car for $75,000, the only people that do that sort of thing are untrustworthy. Then you change the contract and you said, not acceptable. You're behind $500 and a late payment will only be acceptable with a current payment. Is there anything about that in your contract?
There's not.
Okay, so if it's not in your contract, it doesn't exist.
That is how.
There. For some reason that has always baffled me are women.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I have guys standing there and say, you know, she asked me for this, and so I knew she had a baby on the way, and I felt sorry for it, so I gave them money.
Right.
Most of the time, they say goodbye, which is what you should have said. And
absolutely.
You appear to be much too fine a lady. And
thank you.
A hard-working lady. Don't give anybody.
No more.
Any guy who takes money from you to lower his car payment and buys a car for $75,000 and asks you for $1,000 or $2,000, knowing that you're a working gal and that he didn't need it to buy a car. He could have bought a car for $50,000. He could have bought a car for $30,000.
Right.
Likes to drive fancy cars with somebody else's money, okay?
Yes.
So the only people that do that sort of thing are untrustworthy, usually, as my great-grandmother would call them, bums. Invest in your children's future. We're done here. Judge complaint.
This court is adjourned.
Mr. Brooks took my money with no intentions of paying back.
I thought it was, she gave it to me.
Oh, car crashed, my tires got slashed.
I thought it was a gift because she really liked me.
Don't let men borrow money.
Lovely woman, hardworking woman. She's going to have a chain, as Dolly Parton would say, have a chain. Going to have a second salon. On the other side, you have somebody with zero judgment.
He's well-versed in other people's money.
Why? A perfectly sensible, bright woman would take money that she worked really hard for and give it to somebody that she hardly knows.
Women have to be smarter.
The women have to